Hey everybody, and welcome back to Arcade Tirade, the podcast. It's all about them sweet video games. This is the episode for May 13th. I'm your host, Zuver.
Phantom Outlaw.
And once again, this is May 13th, an episode about redundancy. Alright, let's do the show. So, what have you been playing lately, man?
Mortal Kombat 11. Begrudgingly. And
Why begrudgingly?
Because of what the developers did or said.
Oh, right.
And I'm like, I pre-ordered it before I heard all of that, and I'm kind of a pro-consumer person. If you're a kind of person who I pay money to and you insult people who buy your products, I am no longer a fan of yours. Mm-hmm. And I also have a rule that if I buy something, I play it. So I'm off and on play it. I don't play it, and I love fighting games, but I've not been. It's not something I play every day. Like I've done past fighting games from them. Again, out of kind of like I bought it, but I'm not going to put a bunch of time into it like I would most fighting games that I do put a lot of time into. So every time I play it, it's like I feel I have to take a shower after I do it.
Damn, literally?
Yeah. Fuck NRS. And
you actually do take the showers though?
Oh yeah, I do. I do. I'm yeah.
Confirmed. Phantom Outlaw showers.
Yeah. And a game on the Switch called Reflections. I'm missing the first part of the game. It's basically an anime game where you get to slap the thighs of anime chicks with big boobs.
And it's called Reflections?
It's something before that. I think I know it's a Ran Kagura game. I can't wait for it. I hope they get that. I hope that pinball game comes out because that shit is lewd as hell and I love it. Something reflects, but you get to dress up the chicks in these scantily clad outfits, and you get to massage them. And then I think when you hit a sweet spot, you get the spread eagle option, and you get to slap the thighs.
Are they wearing high heels?
No, I think you can put. Usually, I think you can put shoes on them. I think it depends on the outfit. Usually, they're mostly barefoot or wear flats. I never pay attention to the feet. I go right to the tits.
Did you ever watch, I think it was How I Met Your Mother?
Yeah, I used to watch that.
Wasn't that on that show, wasn't there an episode where, I might be getting it confused with another show, but he's asking his buddy because he's dating this girl. Dude, she's got to be a hooker. He's like, how do you know? Can she run in high heels? Well, yeah, actually, she's a hooker then.
Well, that would make the chick from Jurassic Park, World, I think, which the one with Chris Pratt, the first one, where she ran in high heels throughout the whole movie.
Hooker.
I think she confirmed it. That's what's his he directed Splash and the last solo movie, Star Wars movie. Ron Howard. That's Ron Howard's daughter.
Ooh.
Yeah. So damn.
It's always the kids, man. You know what I found out? You know Ben Shapiro, right?
Yeah.
You know the girl that played Matilda?
Yes.
She's his cousin.
Hey, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Yeah, pretty much.
What else have I been playing? I haven't played. Did I play any retro games this weekend? No, I could swear I played a GameCube game, but I can't remember what it was. I may have just been screwing around with it just to. Oh, that's what I did. I was moving stuff around, and I was putting my old PlayStation and PlayStation 2 on another monitor to make sure they work correctly. So I was playing a lot of old school PS1 games and PS2 games briefly. But mainly I've been playing some MK11 and, again, begrudgingly, fuck NRS and Farm Together with my kid. So that's about it. What have you been playing?
Well, not playing video games.
Ah,
Yeah, this is the second episode now in a row where I haven't really been playing much of anything.
oh, I thought you was playing something else, like it involved, you know,
No, what?
female parts. I thought you were gonna say, yeah, I've been playing with those things,
Well, regrettably,
You
no,
have-
not in the last couple of weeks.
and you haven't had time to play video games. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it.
Well, it's not so much I haven't had time. I've just been doing other things. I've been watching a lot of political YouTube videos. I watch more content about games, like getting, ready for this episode
Yeah.
and other things of that matter. I always like Game Maker's Toolkit. That's always a fun channel to watch where the guy dissects video games. What else? I, of course, watch things related to news in gaming. Of course, the Sonic getting a redesign in the movies after fans complained enough online, which ironically was the one case, I think, where you and I both agreed, oh, Twitter's actually doing some good.
Yeah, and the reason why I'm for it, because it's been this weird trend where these fair weather friends, I don't know where they are, fans of a particular, like Star Wars, real, like people that grew up in my age group that watched or grew up with Star Wars do not like these new Star Wars movies. And the last Star Wars when The Last Jedi came out, there's been a lot of, critical, people been critical of how the second movie doesn't answer questions of the first movie. So if you watch this trilogy in a trilogy form, which is supposed to be sequel trilogy, it doesn't make sense because nothing builds up to anything. There's like their own separate movies. And they did a lot of lore. The lore has been kind of screwed up with what they did Star Wars. But anyway, you had people, makers of the movie, instead of saying, we understand if you didn't like it, but they've been calling fans racist and sexist because they made critiques of the movie, not calling anybody out of their names or anything. They were like, this is how we feel about the movie. It doesn't how you treated Luke and blah, blah, blah. And they've been pretty much going after fans of it and saying, you're not fans. Same thing with what NRA, Mortal Kombat 11 maker devs did. And there was this, I think, what's the game? It's some MMO. I know I can't think of the name right. I'll think of it. One of the fans of that game, one of the writers of the story for that game, had a fan just wanted to ask questions about where the game was going. She snapped at him and she ended up getting fired. But it was like, it's this trend of companies just attacking. Gillette did the same shit. Like, they're attacking people who buy their products, and I don't understand that. So when this happened with Sonic, I was kind of like surprised that they didn't go, well, fuck you, we're going to make Sonic anyway. I'm surprised they said, they listened to feedback and actually kind of cared what fans. Now, I don't know if I might support it just because they did that. But I've gotten used to these people snapping back at people who criticize them, and not in a mean way, just saying your story has a lot of plot holes and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, fuck you, you're not a fan because you criticize their movie. So it's weird to see now that the makers of Sonic are kind of like, yeah, we're going to listen to the feedback and not snap at people who critiqued our stuff.
Yeah, it is strange, and I would argue actually that the people that complain about Sonic's design, they're actually bigger fans because they want to see Sonic done right. I still think there are plenty of other problems, ways to criticize the movie, but at least they're going to change Sonic. I mean, we don't know if it's going to be for better or worse. I'd like to think he's going to look better.
And even when I saw the trailer, I didn't think the trailer was a bad thing. I mean, I didn't have a problem with the trailer itself. I just actually had a problem with Sonic design. I was like, ugh, it looks too, nah. So, I mean, I didn't go to Twitter about it. I just kind of from afar, kind of like, I'm not cool with the design, but whatever. So it was pretty cool that this company said, hey, we're going to try to make Sonic the best we can. So I hope people support it. I will, just based on that, I think. Mm-hmm. If it's a shitty movie or not, I like that they're not trying to attack people who want to see Sonic look the best it could be. I'm not, it's gotten to a point I'm not used to that. It was, like I said, there's been a lot of game companies doing that too. Just kind of like, just snapping at people who's giving just critiquing it, not being mean, but to call somebody racist and sexist, like the criticism they give with Star Wars, like if you just critique that, you automatically are some kind of alt-right. I'm like, who comes up with this shit? It's weird. They did that. And Rotten Tomatoes did that shit with Captain Marvel, where they took people's rating of where they do this thing where they can, if you want to see a movie or not, you can choose not interested or interested. And Captain Marvel had like a huge number of people not caring to go see the movie, although it made but they sandwiched it between Endgame and Infinity War, so it still made money, but only because it's a Marvel movie and people wanted to see if there was anything. But most people gave it below average score, but they went to see it anyway. But in critiquing the movie, Rotten Tomatoes actually, they tried to say people review bombed. I still don't know how you do that when the movie hadn't come out yet. And then even after they critiqued the movie, they still took the reviews that were critical of it. Not in a shitty way. They were just saying, here's the problems I found with the movie. And they found out Rotten Tomatoes was doing something with Disney, and they pretty much faked some of the reviews on those. It was odd how they protected this movie. So again, it's kind of refreshing that the makers of Sonic are like, yeah, we'll change it, Sonic, to make them look better.
Well, my hot take is that the movie's going to suck. I guess that's not a hot take, though.
It probably will, but
it just never works when you try and make something that's successful as a game into a movie, because there are too many elements that just don't translate 98% of the time, I'd say. I mean, you can go by the trailer, which is all we have right now. I have my criticisms with it, but my take in the end is you can't really say everything until the movie's out. You can't criticize something that's not out yet. I mean, you can criticize the trailer, the Coolio track, I guess the whole treatment of Dr. Robotnik with Jim Carrey, I think, is interesting. But, of course, that could go south really easily, too. I mean, he was funny, I thought, in that trailer. It's typical Jim Carrey, 90s-style Jim Carrey. But, I mean, that might get tiring after, 15 minutes in the movie. They don't ever call him Robotnik. But, I mean, that's the trailer. Everybody knows who he's supposed to be. And then, I guess you can argue the logical problems, like what's that whole bit where he's running down the highway and then he just shuts down like all the Northwest power grids in the United States?
I don't know if I missed that.
Well, they might have just taken two different scenes and put them together, but I mean, he's supposed to He's supposed to be there to save the planet. He's an alien. I don't know. I didn't expect him to stick to like the linear Sonic canon, even though there are like multiple different canons in Sonic. It seems like they change the world with every release.
Yeah, see, I never knew Sonic supposed to have any actual lore to it. I know when they did they were going to do the Ninja Turtles as aliens. Yeah, they're like, no, don't do that. And what was cool in the movie, the first Ninja Turtle movie, the Michael Bay produced one, which wasn't that bad. It was actually pretty good. They mentioned that they kind of poked fun at themselves about calling themselves that they were going to be considered aliens. They did some line in there, kind of call back to the criticism of the people not say, why would you call the Ninja Turtles aliens? But anyway, I thought it was cool that they kind of poked fun at themselves for wanting to do that with a line in the movie that they said.
Well, and that's all fine if you don't go by the traditional story, especially because a lot of it's just too nerdy for a mainstream audience. And that's another thing with the Sonic. Are they marketing towards everybody, or are they marketing towards the gamers more? Or are they trying to walk both sides? It seems like they're trying to do both. Yeah.
I'm a more of a source material person because that's what got everything popping in the first place. I don't know how you do something. You got to do something that's recognizable to people that who are fans of it, true fans of it, and then you got to try to balance making it where the general audience who doesn't know about this will be able to understand it.
Personally, I've always preferred the 90s Sonic lore, or I guess I call it the Archie lore, the Archie Comics version of Sonic the Hedgehog story, which tied into the Sega Genesis games pretty much. I won't bog you down too much with it, but the basic premise is that it takes place on the planet Mobius, which is actually a post-apocalyptic version of planet Earth. What happened was that these aliens, these superior aliens, came into contact with the people from planet Earth, and the people from planet Earth pretty much screwed over the aliens, so the aliens, they released a virus or some kind of a bomb on the planet which de-evolved the humans, but conversely it let other animals evolve to be more intelligent.
Oh, okay.
And the humans were called the Overlanders, I think, or something like that. And Dr. Robotnik rose up, and he pretty much tried to dominate the entire planet. And then you had the Resistance with Sonic and everybody rise up. And that's the basic setting for the Archie Sonic universe.
I never knew that. I never knew Sonic had a story at all. I just thought he just was like a Roadrunner cartoon. It's like there's no real story behind it other than he's running through a maze.
Well, it started that way with the original Sonic game. It was just Sonic was this anthropomorphic hedgehog trying to stop Dr. Robotnik. And then Sega, I don't know how much direct involvement they had with Archie comics, but they built up the story around the Sonic universe over time, which is what happens with a lot of franchises.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But anyway, so I hear that Pro Jared is in some hot water right now.
Yeah, I guess who the fuck goes on Twitter? Look, man, I never blame the technology. I blame humans who can't control themselves. Mm-hmm. We got this thing now that everybody has to fucking, including myself. We got YouTube, we got all this other social media type stuff. Now everybody has a voice, and it's like, was this a good idea? And to go online to say, hey, I'm divorcing my wife. And then she bit back with some, I was like, oh God, it just opened up a whole can of shit.
Yeah, and the story I know is that he was cheating on her with some other YouTuber, but then I've heard other people say that he said he was in an open relationship with her, so who knows the truth behind that. But then it got worse, because then 2 girls stepped forward and claimed that he was sending them nude photos when they were underage.
Yeah, one was supposed to be a dude,
Oh, was
16. Well, a dude transitioning into a chick.
Oh, that's right.
That's supposed to be like 16, and then that, like, oh god, dude. This is why I'm almost like, I'm almost want to go back to church. I don't know, man. It's like, it's just, that's what, not to bring religion, but at least with that, I can point to something to why they're crazy. I can't point to anything with this current generation and the stuff that's going on with now they're saying that there's no such thing as biological sex. All this bullshit. It's like the group that was for science is now saying science is not. It's just weird, man. It's like, oh my God. Well, I guess the sky isn't blue either. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
There's a fringe group that seemed to not have a clear definition of biological sex and gender, and they claim they're the same thing. And then people think that they all mean one thing, but then they...
because you can poke holes, and it's like, well, then if there's no sex, then I guess that means there's no male privilege. You can't use that argument anymore because there's no biological sex anymore. Therefore, there would be no male privilege.
My whole take is, if you want to think you're a guy or a girl, fine, but it's not biological. What you think you are is not what you biologically are. I don't think many people actually think that, but to those that do, grow up. Come on. I mean, if that's what you want to think.
If you want to cut off...
Don't say that the other side is the anti-science side. I hear where you're coming from.
Yeah. Like, just... You want to cut off your dick, you have every right to. Just don't force me to call you... no.
But going back to the whole Pro Jared thing, so Pro Jared started as a hard news reporter for Screw Attack back in 2010. And he was accused, these accusations, these allegations of the underage people actually were brought to Normal Boots, the production company that he's a part of, or probably was pretty soon. I think they actually dropped him. Anyway, they came to Normal Boots. They stepped forward back in 2016, and they told him about this, and they kept him. Now, you're familiar with JonTron?
I know they can't. I know that what story I know the Quartering was talking about was.
I knew the Quartering would bring this up if this was true. I didn't know if this was true or not because people were saying, well, JonTron wasn't with Normal Boots back then. Was he or was he not? I don't know. I know Pro Jared and a friend of his kind of jumped on JonTron for some stuff he said. Yeah. Back in 2016, he got into debate. He got in a couple debates where he said some controversial things on immigration, and he defended Stephen King, governor of Iowa, for some of the things he had said about Mexicans. And he got dropped from his voice acting in the game Yooka-Laylee was dropped because of what he said. Now, my thing is, I want to know whether or not JonTron was actually working for Normal Boots, because if that's the case, then Pro Jared can be accused of doing, releasing pornography of himself to underage girls and totally be fine. But then JonTron says a couple things on immigration, and they just give him the axe. I don't know if he was there or not, and so I don't know if this actually is true. But if it is, shame on Normal Boots.
I've noticed the people who grandstand the most tend to be the ones with a lot of shit in their closet.
Sure. And again, I just want to clarify. I don't know if he was there with them or not. So I can't say whether or not it's hypocritical, because if he wasn't there, then obviously there's nothing to be hypocritical about. But anyway. Yeah.
But it's like JonTron has the last laugh.
Oh, JonTron's doing fine. He disappeared for about a year after that happened, and now he's back.
Oh, okay.
I would like to say I'm not defending what JonTron said. I've listened to the debates. He said some very crazy things. I don't know what his sources are. The one that stuck out to me was that he said statistically rich black people were more likely to commit crimes than poor white people or pretty much any other people. He didn't specify, talking about what he said about rich black people committing more crime. He didn't specify a source. He really stumbled over a lot of things. He was debating with a guy who knew what he was talking about, or at least knew a lot more from what I gathered. But, yeah, for people that want to hear this, by the way, it was JonTron debated Destiny, and he also had a long discussion with Sargon of Akkad. But anyway, he was spitting out a lot of things that I'd never heard before. He was talking about racial groups generally wanting to be with their own kind, and he was just really vague. I mean, yeah, I know that is, it's not like that's not a true thing for a lot of people, but he was basically defending, he was brought into this debate because he was defending what Stephen King said, the governor of Iowa. But anyway, I won't get too much into that because I can't give you exact quotes. But Jared, as for Jared, he could be facing some criminal accusations or some charges.
Has he gone that far? I just heard the
could.
Oh, good. Okay.
We don't know. I don't see him being in the public eye in a positive way for a long time, if ever again.
I don't know who had it worse, Mundane Matt or him, the way his subscriber count dropped so fast after this.
Yeah, no, Matt, wasn't he flagging his own videos?
No, he was flagging people's videos that were talking about him.
Okay.
And then he went on to, because Miniker and I forget the other two were questioning him on their show, and throughout almost like an hour, I sat here and listened to it. He just flat out just never lied, kept saying, "No, I never flagged anybody's stuff." And then one of the Miniker, one of the other, I wish I can remember their damn name, mentioned, "Hey, you can shoot us a screenshot of your, you can shoot us a screenshot of if you flagged anybody or not." Because I guess they keep a log of it. And he was stumbling to show it because he was just about to get off the show. And one of the two other guys said, "Yeah, just share your screenshot. We can prove it right now that you're telling the truth, that you didn't flag anybody." And he kept stumbling and saying, "No, I'm never." And they was like, "Well, it took us 3 seconds to pull up ours. You can just do yours." And that's how he got busted. He finally had to share his screen. And it showed all the people he flagged, and then it went to shit after that. But
so what happened to Mundane Matt? Is he still gone, or is he just not relevant anymore?
I don't think he's relevant. I think I know his subscriber count, all that went to the toilet pretty fast after that. He was still doing videos after that, trying to explain himself. And he kind of put on a sob story about it's a mess. He had previously went on another YouTube I watched called Geeks and Gamers, where he had said something about the host of that show, and they actually made amends on his show. And then he was just kind of going off just kind of on here, another person like on their high horse going after other people, and then this, shit came and bit him in the ass.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It's weird. So I think Pro Jared's probably going to have a worse. I mean, he's got a worse thing going. Mundane Matt probably just did a lot of lying. What Pro Jared did, though, is, I think, way, way worse, I guess.
Well, I'm getting onto Social Blade right now to take a look at his subscriber numbers. Right now on YouTube, he stands at 882,000 subscribed. I believe this morning when I checked, it was around 900,000.
Oh, yeah, there.
Yep. Thursday and Friday. Thursday, he lost 102,000. Today, so far, he's lost 48,000.
Damn.
Yeah, so in the last 30 days, he's had a net loss of almost 147,000 subscribers.
I don't even know how you come back from. Only one person I can think of. I don't even call it a scandal. I think this was just overly religious people at that time. It was a singer by the name of Vanessa Williams. She was I think the first black woman to win Miss America. I think, and this was like early 80s, somewhere in the 80s or early 90s, like 80s. And she did a spread with Penthouse. And apparently that was a no-no back then. And she got shamed. They took her crown and all of that because of the pictures in Penthouse. But she bounced back from that, came like one of the most famous. And she got on what was that show that used to come on with the, I can't think of the name of the show. But she went back to singing, had nice album sales and things like that. She was one of the few people I know that kind of survived a weird scandal. Well, Rob Lowe did too. He was on tape with an underage person, but Bill Cosby's in jail.
Well, only the prudes are really going to discredit her for appearing in a spread.
Right.
I mean, obviously, you and I know that's completely different than what happened with Jared.
Yeah, I'm just saying, as far as coming back from something that would be considered, would he ever be able to have
and it was the 90s,
the reputation? Yeah. Or I think it was late 80s, early 90s, but I want to say it was 80s, so I think she was like 18 or 19 at the time. So I want to say it was the late 80s. But yeah, I was like, because I used to get pissed off when a stripper or something would go to a job interview or something, and she would never get the job because she stripped. I'm like, what the fuck that's got to do with what she can do? I'm pro stripper, so
absolutely.
I don't know how that stops you from. People just weird with that.
Prudes, representatives, Christian fundamentalists, Protestant types,
Well, not now. It's just on the other side.
I mean, back then, but yeah, now it's social justice advocates. They, but I don't know. What do you think personally about what Jared did? I mean, not what he's been accused of, but the things that are seem pretty much set in stone that have been confirmed by him and his wife.
Don't do it. I mean,
yeah, I guess
I've always been raised to keep personal stuff in house. Why would you go? Don't just stop getting on Twitter and that. I think that's my biggest thing. Just don't go on Twitter with your business. That should have been between him and his wife, and how they deal with it is how they deal with it. Then when you do people wrong, man, she bit back. I can't really blame her for that. And, should have kept that shit to yourselves, man. I got off Facebook because a friend of mine was him.
I didn't know you were ever on Facebook.
Oh, man, this was when Facebook, I was just trying to get old school people I grew up with and people from high schools information so I can just contact them by email or telephone.
Mm-hmm.
That's basically what I use Facebook for back in 2009, 2010. And I really didn't use it much after that. After I got everybody that I cared about, I kind of like, I had it. And then there was a few things, had friends, and the one friend he had his marriage on Facebook. And they actually argued on Facebook. I'm like, what is this becoming? And I just got tired. I was just like, why am I even on this site? I just, no point in me having it. So I thought it was just a useless thing to get on.
Yeah, I mostly use it for promotion these days, or finding networking, what Facebook's good for.
Yeah, that's why I feel like that with Twitter. If you run a business or something, it's right now it's like a digital high school at this point. Junior high school on online. The same shit you would see in high school is kind of like that's what Twitter's become.
Yeah, and a lot of different opinions that people would never share in real life with each other, even directly the way they talk to each other, they do on there. And like you said, it's ruined relationships. I've even, in the past, I had a couple fights in my past relationships because of things on Facebook.
Yeah.
So I'm mostly there for the memes now.
Yeah, that's all it's become.
That's pretty much what it is now. It has been for the last few years. And I never really got on Twitter. There are a couple people I follow on Twitter every now and then just for entertainment, but never really had much of an interest. I'll use it for the band to promote it, like we said, networking, promoting, but it's fuck all that. It's a constant little. That's a reason that the term Twitter tantrum came up. Everybody has their 9,000 little opinions that they throw back and forth every day in a limit of I think they went from 180 to 360 character limits per tweet. You're not making real arguments usually with 360 letters. But hey,
no,
they want to do it. Obviously they want to do it. So, in an alternate timeline, if I had embraced Twitter at an earlier point, I think things would have turned out differently for me. But I didn't. I think as Dr. Strange would say, this is the timeline where we win.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I've got on news, really, man. What do you got?
I had a I don't know how much Twitch. It's not much news. It's kind of I don't know how the game industry works when it comes to when I watch Twitch. What indicates what's top selling game? I'm not going to go to a video game chart, but I usually watch Twitch to watch games that I might be interested in or I like the streamer. So a game, Fortnite gets to 220. But last time I checked, it was over 200,000 views. And I used to think, does that mean the game is popular viewership-wise, or that it's popular in sales, or it's free to play, but are people playing it too? And I figure games that don't have a lot of views, maybe people are just playing those games, but it doesn't really indicate, there's no measuring stick to, because it's popular, that it's a high-selling game or not, or it is. Or
could be the streamer.
Well, yeah, I know it's that, but I mean, even particular streamers only get high view counts. But if you put them all together, if you were to look up Fortnite, you'll see the view count alone, and then you're like, oh, well, that's a lot of people watching. Then you go to the individual streamer and see number-wise who's watching the most, who's the most watched streamer in terms of that game. Usually it's Ninja. Mm-hmm. But Mortal Kombat, for example, and Apex Legends, when Apex Legends came out, that was considered, and this was in January or end of last year, this was going to be the new Fortnite killer, because it ended up surpassing Fortnite in viewer count for a few weeks, about a month, and it had about the same numbers as that does, and now it's like all the way down to like only 23K people watching it. Like that's a hell of a drop in 2 or 3 months for somebody that, people saying this is a new Fortnite killer.
They couldn't stop the king.
I couldn't stop it.
They
But
held
I
him
guess
back for a little bit.
But I was trying to figure out, and then when Mortal Kombat 11 came out, it had and when fighting games barely get a lot of views. Only select few people care about fighting games as far as watching them. They're not that fun to watch. It's one of the, it depends on the fighting game, but those kind of games I prefer to play than watch somebody play.
I'd say Smash Brothers I find to be one of the more entertaining fighting games, but that's obviously very different.
Yeah, I can actually watch that. I can watch. I hate NRS now, but usually they have pretty entertaining. But I can kind of watch them. But fighting games have a hard time getting viewership. Period. So when Mortal Kombat came out, it had 30 plus, maybe 50K views in its second week, and then it's down to 10 or 9,000 now.
Ugh.
And there's a guy by the name of Max Million that I watch. He alone gets 20,000 to 15,000 views, pretty much playing any fighting game. He's pretty entertaining to watch too. Pro fighting game players don't even get the views that he gets, and he's not a pro player. He's good at the games. He's knowledgeable about fighting games, but he's not a competitor in terms of going to Evo and other things to compete in fighting games. But he gets the most views, and he's more of I guess he brings in casuals as well as hardcore, where the other ones seem to strictly bring in hardcore viewership. But anyway, I don't know. I was like, does that indicate that the game is popular or selling because of the views or not? Whereas you have Fortnite where people are playing the game and it gets a lot of views too. So it's hard to determine if view count of a game means anything, good or bad, or if the game is selling or not. And you can't really go by that. So it's it's hard to gauge. When even Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 7, single player games, I don't expect to keep a viewer count for a long time because people will watch them, see what the story is, and then kind of move on. But games that's online that's had streaks of viewership, like Overwatch had it, Dota, Counter-Strike, usually in the top 5 or 10 most viewed games. And I never know what indicates sales in terms of.
I would say just stick to physical and digital purchases.
Oh, I do. I'm just saying.
No, I'm just saying, not for you, but for
yeah.
People that are watching the market, the journalists, the reporters. I guess the video game economists, or whatever the equivalent of that would be.
Yeah, because I've seen people do videos on Apex Legends and was like, the viewership for this went down quite a bit, but it doesn't mean that people aren't playing the game. I just figure people maybe are playing the game, but then, like I said, Fortnite has both the player base and the views at the same time. I'm like, a lot of games don't do that, so I don't know what that means when I see games that had a high viewership. Doesn't mean the game's. I don't know. What I'm trying to say is it's hard to gauge. I think some people will look at Twitch and say, well, the game must suck if nobody's watching it. But that doesn't mean anything.
No.
It could mean people are playing the game. Maybe they've got an idea what the game is. I'll watch. I remember when Resident Evil 2 came out, I watched a few people play it, then I stopped because I didn't want to ruin it really much. Pretty followed the old RE2 story, but they remade the game with, and I didn't want to spoil too much for him. Same thing that with Days Gone. I saw a few people play that. I was like, I'm interested, and then I didn't want to know what the story was, so I stopped watching it. But yeah, but some people do think like because it's got a lot of views, it must mean the game is. Now it just mean people are watching the game. That doesn't necessarily. But like I said, with Fortnite, it seems to be one of the few games that does have It's a free to play game too, but has the player base as well as the views. Some games have the views, but not the sales. Some games have the sales, but not the views. So it's
well, it definitely is useful.
By that. Yeah, I think it's useful in that.
Well, I was going to say for the games that are underperforming in sales, but they're getting more streams, which I don't think there's much overlap there. If the game's not doing well, it's probably not going to be streamed much. But you know, to kind of exaggerate the numbers, I can definitely see why companies would use that.
Yeah.
Well,
but that's
yeah
all I had. Oh, damn it! It was something else I was thinking about today. Go ahead. I'll think of it as we go.
Well, no, I was going to say I got to run to the bathroom.
Okay.
This is going to be kind of a killer. So give me like 5 minutes.
All right then.
So I'll be right back.
All right. With the whole Twitch thing, it had something to do with oh damn. Again, I think as we talk, it may.
Okay, yeah, just bring it up anytime you think of it.
Yeah.
So, today's subject, video game logic and how it does not work.
Well, it works, it just makes no sense.
Well,
and it almost
does not. You know, it could be anything. But yeah, this universe logic, sure, but let's ignore these other things. Why do you have 10,000 items and you can still walk around, but that one extra baseball bat's too much? One of the dumber ones. Okay. Answer me this question. Does Mario break blocks with his head or his fist?
Before they actually drew him non-pixely, I always thought it was his head, but it's like his fist, but his arms are short, so it looks like both. But I assume it's a fist.
It was the popular opinion for a long time that it was his head. But yeah, because of the limitations of 8-bit graphics, it's kind of hard to tell. He is actually pumping his fist up when he's doing it. I also thought the same thing for a long time until I looked. But I saw a joke where somebody said, oh, Mario's logic, he can break bricks with his head, but if he tries to break a turtle with his head, he dies.
Yeah, it's a lot of...
It's like, I get what you're saying, but I guess I'm a stickler. It's not his head, it's his fist. That is kind of strange, though. He can break solid bricks with his fist, but not a turtle shell. And I know that's one of the more zany. Fuck logic in the first place. He's going down pipes and coming out like it's a vacuum inside of it.
Which makes more sense because that's why I understand cartoons. You look at, I remember watch Looney Tunes and you'll see a character pull out. They have no pockets, but they pull out all these items out of their whatever.
Right.
I'm like, it's a cartoon. Cartoons do that. And I always thought video games had that same kind of quote unquote logic where I kind of looked at it as a cartoon, but even there's still rules that has to be followed even with that. Where, yeah, like why is that he can break a harder object with his fist, but certain things he can't? And
like, why is it that Master Chief's armor can survive great falls, but he can't swim? Is there an explanation for that?
Master Chief?
Yeah, Master Chief.
Falls? Wait, he can survive all but can't swim?
That's what I saw. I'm not very experienced with Halo, but
I know he swam. If I remember correctly, he had to swim in Halo 2.
Okay, so maybe
That
it was
a
just
mission.
for the first one.
Yeah, I don't remember him being unless you're talking about multiplayer. I don't in story mode. I can't remember if he was around water or not.
I mean, it's based off of a meme I saw, so they could just be
Oh,
selective.
yeah.
The inventory, like you were talking about how the cartoon characters can have everything on them, that was always one of the bigger ones that I always thought about. And I know they tried to make things a little bit more applicable in games like Skyrim, where too much inventory, or what's its sister franchise, Fallout, too much stuff slows you down and you do reach a limit. But still, you're able to
But then
run.
that defeats the purpose of having a bigger. Like they give you an option. Well, not option, but you can upgrade what you carry. Does it lighten up your weight, or does it add more weight?
Generally, it adds more weight. I mean, it's more matter, so it's going to add more weight.
So they're almost like, well, why? If you had the choice to not pick a bigger box or bigger pack or something to hold more items, then that's weird. It's like, yeah, we're going to give you more items, but your weight. I guess that's to kind of, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. I think I played one Skyrim game. There were several other games I played where I think they give you a bigger backpack or something to carry more items in, but it'll screw up with your weight. And it's like,
The other one for me was always RPG fatalities.
yeah, mine too. Now, are they incapacitated or are they dead?
That depends on the game, and sometimes they don't specify.
Because my most famous, if people haven't played this game since then, is Final Fantasy
Seven.
VII,
Yeah,
and
easily the most famous.
why you're like, couldn't you just use it? It worked in the real game.
Right, why couldn't you use a Phoenix Down?
Sit down here. Maybe that would have changed things, but the game doesn't allow you to do that. So
So real quick, sidebar. What always stood out to me about that scene, I knew about that scene before I played the game, but I think I did. Anyway, the part of it that always stuck out to me wasn't the part where she died, but the part how right after she's dead and Cloud's holding her, Sephiroth just keeps on rambling on about his destiny. Like just completely oblivious or not caring about anything, and Cloud's just like, shut up, shut up, shut up, and he just keeps going like he's so fucking obsessed with trying to destroy the world.
yeah,
I just thought, wow, that's an impressive degree of obsession. It sucks about the girl, though.
well, I was always confused why she didn't die right away. I mean, that's a huge sword. You would think instant death, but no, she kind of lived a little bit. Everybody forgot their Phoenix Down. Ran out during the boss fight, I guess, and then that was it.
What pissed me off was the leveling up I had spent so much time on with her.
Yeah, that I remember reading EGM, and they had a list of characters that died, and this was what 97, 96, 97, and one of them mentioned her. I didn't know how it happened. I was like, I was in the middle of the game. I had not completed the first disc yet, so I was anticipating I'm gonna lose this character, but not that way. And it still ate at me when I actually saw it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I was like, oh my god, and that was probably the first time. Well, because it had I guess, a story. Most games, I think Metal Gear at the time probably had the deepest in terms of a story that I can remember. That actually had somewhat of a story that I cared about paying attention to. because I didn't play many RPGs up until Final Fantasy VII, and of course Chrono Trigger sometime after that. But after that, I was invested in this Final Fantasy VII story. So that was the first time. The last time I remember losing a character in anything was Transformers the movie back in '86, because you just did not kill off main characters in anything. They somehow made it. And for a cartoon, especially a kid's show, I think Disney was already doing crap like that, but with Bambi and stuff like that. But still, that was rare that would happen. So when they did that with Transformers the movie back in '86, that was a huge. At least people that was fans of that back then was like, that was our John Wayne. Who the hell thought this was a good idea? Kid locked himself in the closet. All kind of shit happened with that.
Mm-hmm.
Optimus Prime, but and that's why I used to look at games and go, it's just a digital cartoon. So I understand in the laws of the cartoon that characters will pull pianos and rackets out of their pockets because it's a cartoon. It's not real. I'm not expecting it to do that. That's the whole point of a cartoon. And I thought video games were the same way. But then when you make a rule in your own game, it should follow that rule. And there's like weird things that I noticed in games where, I guess from a designer standpoint, another thing that always bugged me was when you're in an area, you're like, can I just crawl under that to get out of this room? But no. Because of the design and the way the game is, you're not able to climb over everything. So you got this weird route you got to go in order to get out of the room, where it's like, yeah, I could just go out that window though. And I can't break the window because I've played games where you shoot the window and they don't break, or you don't have really destructible. But then there's parts of the game where if it's a cinematic, he can break through that window and get out. It's like, well, what? Or when your character gets injured doing gameplay and you can bandage yourself up. I know that happened in The Last of Us, where you got shot or something, you can bandage yourself up and heal. But then you have a cinematic where I had to play another character where he got seriously injured. And like, couldn't he just bandage that up like he did in a regular game? Like, it's weird that games would take a realistic approach in the cinematics, but in the gameplay, in the act of trying to make you feel like you're immersed in this game and everything's supposed to be so realistic that, well, the rules doesn't make sense that I can heal myself here, but when I'm not playing the character, he can't heal. In the same way, I'm able to heal with the gameplay, but that's rule. I mean, trying to make a game be a game. I guess I get weird out when people try to make games too realistic, but you have to live within the rules of a video game. You have to come back to life at some point to finish the game. You don't just die.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Who's faster? Going back to something we talked about in the news, but who's faster, Sonic or Dr. Robotnik?
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me Mario.
Oh no, I thought we've covered that.
Yeah.
No, who's faster, Sonic or Dr. Robotnik? On foot, who's faster?
I would think Sonic is on foot.
Then why is it that at the end of every Sonic the Hedgehog game, there's usually a sequence where you're chasing Dr. Robotnik on foot to his little hover ship, and he always outruns you?
That's right.
Dr. Robotnik is the fastest thing alive. Fuck Sonic.
Exactly. Yeah. I never thought about that.
I mean,
and it,
yeah. I mean, and I mean, we can't even get it. We can get into the physique. I mean, the guy has like the legs of a model, but he's round like a balloon up top. He's got some strange gym routines.
I know.
It's like it's all carbs upstairs, but he's got this ridiculous leg workout.
He doesn't show, but it's there. It's got to be the shoes or the pants or the mustache that gives him that aerodynamic. I don't know.
By the way, did you know that his look was inspired by Teddy Roosevelt? I think I mentioned that before.
Yeah, I think I heard about. I think I remember reading that somewhere. Pac-Man was a pizza somebody had eaten.
I saw this meme the other day, where Pac-Man is talking to Bill Murray as one of the Ghostbusters. I forget his character's name.
Ray Stantz, if I'm mistaken.
Okay, well, he's talking to his character, and he's dressed up as a Ghostbuster, and he's handing him this money, and he says to Bill Murray, "Thanks." And there's 4 of the ghost capsules on the ground, sealed up. But anyway, so I'm going to read you a couple of game paradoxes. I'm going to read you a few of these game paradoxes without naming the game, and I want to see if you can guess them.
Okay.
Can jump off a 300-foot tower into a pile of hay and no one cares. But if he jumps off a 2-foot ledge, people say, "Has he gone mad?"
A pile of hay. Solid Snake? No. He doesn't do a lot of falling. I give up.
I don't think you're as familiar with this series, and neither am I. That's Assassin's Creed, specifically Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh, okay.
Okay. First person to enter an ancient tomb in centuries finds a machine gun upgrade inside.
I don't know.
Tomb Raider.
Duh, yeah. Okay.
Can destroy gods with his bare hands. Can't open a wooden door, though.
God of War?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And I'll do one more here. Let's see. Is the god... no. I don't think you're going to know that one. The president's daughter has been kidnapped. Let's send one guy with a pistol and some herbs.
Oh, that's Resident Evil 4.
Yep. Yeah, the memes are nonstop when it comes to, I'm sure you've seen, just looking up video game logic.
Oh yeah, I got a shit ton of them. Another thing that this is what I thought was clever with Evil. Come on. Evil Within 2 was while you're going throughout the game, somebody explains, because of the way the world can shift, that ammo can pop out of nowhere. Like it kind of poked fun at itself by saying it kind of made sense,
Yeah, it's self-aware of the video game contradictions against.
Yeah, it does these things where you always have enough ammo. When you play Resident Evil 4, any Resident Evil game, how you would think, who goes around here and plants strategically place herbs. I'm so used to people I know.
It's so much both ways, man. It doesn't even matter.
Use it with the H. I like Eddie Izzard says, "What does Americans say?" Well, why do you guys? He said American accent. Why do you say herbs with an H?
Right, that's the British that always,
It's a fucking H in it. But you'll find ammo strategically placed. That's why I like what Evil Within kind of poke, like self-aware that, yeah, ammo pops up in this world out of nowhere. Anyway,
And
how
who
the
just
doors.
leaves ammo sitting around?
Oh, here's another thing Resident Evil 4 does weird. So you have the girl, you go rescue her. Every ladder, for some reason, she can climb up the ladder but can't climb down. So you always have to catch her. I'm like, what the fuck? She can't be this useless.
Say that again?
Throughout the game, she can climb up ladders. With, like, when she's falling behind you. When you're climbing up ladders, so can she. But when you jump down a ladder, which you don't get to climb down a ladder, you have to jump off a ledge next to the ladder, or you end up kicking the ladder off.
Well, that's the only cool way to do it.
So Leon doesn't climb down a ladder, but he can climb up it. If he jumps down, if he's near a ladder, he has to find an edge of a step or something and just jump down. I'm like, I guess that would be faster, but then you have places where the ladder is long and he jumps down like he should break an ankle or something, but he never loses health or anything. But the girl has the ability to climb up ladders too, but you always have to catch her when you jump off a ladder. I'm like, why don't you just climb down? Why do I have to catch you? She is totally useless.
Well, that's why I've always hated the escort missions in any game.
But thankfully they paced it well where she's not a nuisance. But I think they did a good job of, you rarely have her following you. But then it's like they had to come up with different ways for her to get captured again. Like Princess Peach, except it was all in one game. That she gets constantly snatched some kind of way after you rescue her several times throughout the game. Fantastic game. It's just these weird rules. The game, you go, well, that doesn't make sense. She can climb up ladders, but can't climb down. I constantly have to catch her. And it's not like she's jumping from a lot of heights a lot of times. It's just... And then when you have Resident Evil 1 where you could shoot the zombies' heads off, I think with Resident Evil 2, the old one, they stopped that. And then they brought it back. Then you had Resident Evil 5 where I think everybody... If you look at Chris from Resident Evil 1, then you go to 5, you're like, what kind of steroids did this motherfucker take? He could punch a boulder in the game, but he couldn't beat this bitch that was kicking his ass in the game. It was like, what?
Well, maybe it was a sensitive boulder.
Dude, that thing was huge. And you have to...
Maybe it was made of paper mache.
Whatever's made out of, man, he punched the shit out of that. And you're like, how come he couldn't... I gotta say he's buff, but he should have had blisters or broken fingers or broken hands or something. Never did, man. He punched the shit out that rocket. You get to that next... You get... Crazy.
Well, let's talk... on the subject of Resident Evil, the infection, the T-virus is spread through exposure through the blood, cuts and open wounds, right?
No.
In the first one.
I think when you... How did they say people got... This? It had to do with a corporation... Because I think part 2 answered some of the questions of part 1.
Okay, yeah, you know more about the series than I do. I just always thought it was strange that you could get bit and you never turn. But then I forget exactly what the turn time is for the T-virus.
But that's another thing with Resident Evil series. Like, yeah, that's another thing that's illogical. Like, you can get bit and heal, but the items for everybody else in the game, it's like everything is exclusive to you. And we're like, how come nobody else? Like when you think in Resident Evil 2, even the first one, not the remake, but even the first game, there was a scene where when you first go in there, there's some bullets, but it's like right in the guy that was already in the shop. Now he had a shotgun and everything, but I mean the zombies got to him. But when you get bit, you're able to heal the guy, one of the cops that's in the building before you get there is injured. I'm like, there's a plant right in one of the next rooms. He had a knife. He could have cut the door and got him healed himself. Never does that. Yeah, it's like, it's a game still. I know, but when they try to go for realism, it kind of, nothing makes sense. Like in RPGs where you kill an enemy and they have money. It's like, well, why are they carrying money?
Well, there's a funny irony. There's a funny, completely irrational example in Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. You can return a wallet with $500 in it to somebody, and they'll give you $50. And if you kill them, and you know that players, NPCs always drop money when you kill them in Grand Theft Auto, you can get $85.
But you just had 500.
I know.
What the hell?
Doesn't make any sense. Maybe the wallet was worth $500. Maybe you should have taken it to the pawn shop then.
Right. And the door swinging both ways always bugs me for some reason in games. I know Resident Evil does that the most, where you need a key for the door. You get the key, and it should only swing the one way you came in at, but then you go back out that same door.
Right. Double hinge
opens.
doors.
Yeah, so it's like, if I was to lock myself, I don't know how I would. If I was to close this door, let's say I was able to block the door from opening some kind of way. I guess you put it either way. I guess you can put something to stop from somebody coming in. But if you thought you were secure by closing the door because like they can't open it this way, yeah, but it swings the other way so they can still come in. I guess something like that. But it's just weird that the doors are open two ways instead of one.
Did you play Arkham?
Arkham. Was it Batman game?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did.
This one's funny. I've seen this one repeatedly. I don't kill anyone. I just throw razor blades at their face until they're subdued.
Yeah. Vice City logic. Everyone's dead. Can't stop dancing.
There's another one for Saints Row. It just says, no logic.
But Saints Row never takes itself seriously anyway. It's like
right.
The comedy version of Grand Theft Auto. The Evil Within logic. Enemy has railroad spike impaled in skull, stabbing head for instant kill. Yeah, I noticed that too when I play Evil Within. Yeah, something's already stuck in the head, but if you stab it in the head, it dies. Cortana logic.
Oh, go ahead.
Getting older and more unstable, simultaneously getting younger and hotter. Yeah, like if you play her, if you want to play any of the Halo games, she looks older in her, and then the later games she looks younger and better.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Whole graphical upgrade thing.
So this is BioShock logic. Hey, that courier has power armor, fully automatic laser weaponry, and 2 companions. Better attack them with this tire iron.
Yeah, I love the BioShock series, but yeah, that's crazy too. Ocarina of Time logic. After 7 years, my slingshot and boomerang both get rotted. Oh, sweet. I still have some milk.
Yep.
I guess the milk didn't spoil, but his boomerang and slingshot rotted.
What are they feeding those cows? Either that or the ranch is like centuries ahead of their time with technology. Standing near me on the sidewalk for over 10 seconds. That's it. I'm calling the police.
What game is that?
Grand Theft Auto.
Okay. Diablo 3 logic. Kill Diablo, get worthless loot. Break barrel, get ridiculous epic item.
I'm not sure what game this is. I think this is Grand Theft Auto. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Okay, you're missing your door, tires, and half of your front end. No problem at all. I'll do it for $785. Your headlight is out? Fuck you, $315.
Damn. What was it's some game that is it Silent Hill? It may be Silent Hill. Where some games where there's at least with Silent Hill they try to explain a little bit where when you go to an edge of a certain road, it's like caved in, so it lets you know you can't go further than that. But you have that some games with their visible wall, and it looks like you can go beyond. Where you can see where you can go, but it doesn't. It's got that invisible wall, but you can't go further than that. If that makes any sense, if I'm describing it correctly.
Right? No. I'm with you. That's honestly one of the things I didn't really care much, but I noticed the edges of the world in Breath of the Wild. The desert just kept going on, and it just kind of sent you into nothing. And then on one wall you had ocean. Okay, I can understand that. You really didn't have a good way to travel. But the one on the north was just like this giant bottomless valley with mountains at the other end. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was kind of cheap.
Yeah.
Okay, here's one from The Last of Us. Gets shot at by an enemy with unlimited ammo. Kills him and takes his gun. 2 bullets left.
Jeff, yeah. Yeah. Titanfall logic. 2 shotgun blasts to the face or 1 kick to the shin.
It's another Last of Us. Infection spreads through bites and cuts. Better punch this guy in the mouth.
Yep. Master Chief logic. Can flip a 66-ton tank, but can't control pistol recoil.
Right. What good is that suit for?
That's true. First person to enter ancient tomb in centuries finds a machine gun upgrade. Oh yeah, I think you did that one.
Scientifically crafted Pokemon medicine restores 20 HP. Regular bottle of water restores 50.
Mm-hmm.
What's in the water?
Now, how do you pronounce Skyrim logic? You probably did this one. YSG grammar. Yesigram? How do you pronounce that? YS grammar.
I've seen the meme. I think it's Ease grammar.
Must have been a pretty tough guy. I'm not familiar with. It's some kind of soup spoon, but it's a fork.
Looks like a fork. Yeah, I didn't get that one either.
Oh yeah, that's another thing. You've ever played a game where this is one from Uncharted. On Earth's tomb, sealed for 400 years, candles still lit.
Yeah, how does that work?
Candles, man, they should be. I assume they're made of wax.
Well, here's another. Right. What are the candles made out of? Another one that always got me. Another one that always got me was the. Let's assume that the rest of the world will pause with us when we stop to eat 20 apples to restore our HP. Oh, you're mauling me right now, Mr. Tiger? Hold on a second. Stop that for a minute. I've got to restore some health. I've got to replenish my mana points. You'll understand, right? Yep. Thank you. Just sit right there, or just stay looming over me with your jaw right over my head. That's fine. Hold on. Just let me. No. Okay, we're good.
I only played one game. I can't. What game was it? Where the game enemies actually still attack you if you pause the game. I can't think what game.
Well, in BioShock, there's no true pausing, right? Because the world just slows down. I know they did that in GTA 5.
Unless there's a pause. I'm trying to think.
I mean, there's a true pause, but the menu doesn't actually stop the world.
Yeah, something like that.
Obviously, you can't do that in online either.
I think only one of the BioShock games was, I think part 2 was online back on the 360, but the remastered ones, they didn't keep the online part of it. That was the type of game I don't even know why they attempted to make. The same guy that directed did the first game didn't direct this one. Part 2, Ken Levine, I think that's the name. Kevin Ken. So I don't know why the game, the powers that you get in that game is like, I don't know how online that would work, because you can freeze people. Well, within the story, you have certain with the plasmids, you could have certain powers. I don't know how they would work if you played online against other people with that. That would just be not fun, because you did more than just shoot. You would have to worry about freezing people or electrocuting them, and you're stuck in it, kind of a trap. And I don't know how fair that would be. So I'm not sure how the online worked. But
well, generally, yeah. From what I understand, nothing waits for you.
Yeah,
Nothing and no one waits for you. Another one that I thought of was Cloud, Final Fantasy VII. Generally, in the artwork. Hold on a second. Yeah, in the artwork of Cloud, you look at his arms. He's got some tone. You know, he's in shape. Now, in the game, in the in-game sprites, he's got, like, these Popeye arms. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
His triceps are just, like, inflated. So, how the hell does he carry that sword? And don't you think he'd have serious back issues? I'm sure that, fanboys, if I brought it up to, the right community, they'd be like, well, it's actually designed. The sword was designed with this perfect counterbalance inside. It's rather ingenious, and it's actually an 80-pound pipsqueak could wield a sword like that. It's ancient Cetra ingenuity. I don't know.
But the sword had to be like in Lord of the Rings, where the what was that, the Return of the King, where the stick had the power. It was just a stick, and she was able to. Well, I want to ruin things for people who have not seen it, but there's a scene.
If they haven't seen it, spoiler alert.
There's a scene with a stick that does something, and it's like, but you have to read the books to know why the stick.
Oh, was that book only?
No, if you saw the movie, the scene, nobody would remember. I mean, if you had not read the book, you would not know why. Well, why did I think it was a stick or a little sword? Why it was able to do what it did to a certain enemy.
Who was the character? Was it the elf girl?
Yeah,
the elf princess.
Yeah.
What scene was that? What part was that?
It was I think it was the third movie. It's when they had the big fight scene, towards the end.
I was going to say, which one?
The third.
When they're fighting the Mordor army?
Yeah. I wanted to say that was towards the end of the movie.
Are they at the gates of Mordor?
Dude, it's when the spirits or something.
Oh, weren't they like the king ghosts?
Yeah.
They awaken and they get them to join their cause. They have to travel into their cave.
Yeah.
There
was a part where, but if you didn't read the books, which I didn't, because somebody explained to me, like, why was she able to do that? But then I'm like, oh, because, yeah. I assume Cloud's sword has that same kind of, it's light enough to carry, but heavy enough to slaughter huge enemies.
Right, it's very aerodynamic. It's actually a hollow blade. I mean, I'm
But the
sure
game
that there
never
are tons of
says-
fan theories out there.
Yeah, but I don't think the game ever explains him being able to carry.
There's so much in that game, man, I can't even remember if there was or not.
Yeah. I mean, but most games, RPGs, if their character has a huge weapon and they carry it, it's like, how do you, one, walk around with all that? That would hinder my movement. It seems to never do it, though. They seem to be able to carry on and even bigger weapons to carry more on you.
And to be thorough, Sephiroth's blade doesn't seem like the most practical to me either. It's just too long. Like, I get it was inspired by a samurai sword, but no samurai sword is that long. I would imagine that swinging it, you would throw off. It would leave you vulnerable for a time, and the same thing with the Buster Sword.
Right.
And it's so long that it just seems cumbersome. I'm not an expert with sword combat, obviously, but and yeah, I get it. It's made to look cool. Well, yeah, all of it's made to look cool. Not, of course, it's a video game, but since we're playing by these rules, selectively applying real-world logic and ignoring completely different things.
Especially when you have companies trying to make the game realistic, according to them. Like, fuck you, NRS, who says, "Oh, we're trying to make the game more realistic. You won't see women wearing bikinis." It's like, I don't think we know the game isn't really made that for that. That's kind of dead or alive thing, but that's not what we're saying. You got the men damn near naked, which would mean, by your logic, developer, if you're saying you're trying to make the game more mature and realistic, then that would mean the men would need the armor too. But there's customizations that you can make them topless and barely wear anything, where the women look like they're in burqas. But I don't understand the logic of trying to make the game more realistic by only making the women less attractive. That was their stance. That we're trying to make it more mature and realistic by taking away the attractiveness and clothing the women up to look like they're in burqas.
If you want to have,
game doesn't make sense though.
well, my whole thing is it's a fictional story. The characters, they're supposed to be the archetypes. The characters are supposed to look good. And I understand, well, not all characters are good looking. Not all characters' their strengths are their looks. That's not always the point. And if you want to go for that, fine. But to just try and make everybody look more plain, to be more realistic, it doesn't really have a good utility for the game itself, other than just to score like some social brownie points.
Yeah, that's all that was, because...
Do you really want an all-ugly cast or an all-mediocre-looking cast?
Well, that's the thing. The men don't. They just. It's like, we're afraid to put attractive women in here because it'll offend feminists or somebody. But it's like,
good.
But you've always been over the top. You've always been over the top. You didn't really care what people thought. So why now you all of a sudden care what people think? And then over respecting women, but you don't respect the guys. And this is weird. It's just weird. And I didn't have a problem with the designs. It was until he said that was like, well, that doesn't make sense what you said. The game has never been. If that's the case, most of the moves in the game should kill you instantly. You would not survive a lot of those blows in this game. So I don't get the whole realism part of it. It's a video game. Then I hear people who get mad at people complaining about it, saying, "Well, it's just a game." Like, exactly, it is just a game. So why did they have to cover up the females? That tough if it's just a game then. Like, I use that same argument against you that you're saying it's just a game. Like, exactly, it is just a game. So why is it
all of your movie stars, all of your movie protagonists are still A-list 10s?
Yo, you want to talk about realism. It was like, well, you wouldn't fight. Some of the outfits you wouldn't fight even if you were covering them up because your movement would be hindered. If you look at the MMA, female fighters still wear tight, revealing clothing so they don't get grabbed easily. So
Right,
you would wear
there's
that
a
shit at a fight.
usefulness for some of the outfits.
Yeah. So no,
Obviously-
realistically, they wouldn't be dressed like in purpose. You dumb motherfuckers.
Right, and obviously you're not going to dress scantily if you're going into combat with weapons, like in what's that fighting franchise that your favorite?
Dead or alive.
No, the other one, Soul Calibur.
Oh, so yeah.
Or in any of the games, really, they're not dressed practically a lot of the times. It's not about that, though. It's about optics. It's about sensationalism.
Right,
It's about larger-than-life characters. I mean, look at your superheroes. It goes all the way back to that.
I was just about to say
Let's
that.
be realistic. Somebody like Iron Man, somebody like Tony Stark, he's a nerd. Obviously, I'm not saying that nerds are always ugly, but, I mean, dude looks like he's like monthly on the cover of GQ magazine. But
Right.
I just think practically you got a guy that's like working with robotics and like super advanced technology. Probably not going to look like Robert Downey Jr. And I
But
don't know
me
why
and
they made the character look pre-Robert Downey Jr., but I'd imagine he wasn't ugly.
No, it's again, if people like looking at good looking people, and it's just something that's been done in Hollywood, it's just something that's been done in the comics. That's the whole point of superheroes. It's not us. It's something that's supposed to be better. It's something that's to enjoy to look at. It's something that's just kind of come with the territory. To try to now traditionally destroy that little tradition to try to please people who aren't fans of this stuff, they just want it to exist. You kill your fan base who's like, well, this doesn't make sense. It's a fantasy. Let it be that. I don't know why they're trying to be so realistic that it's like, no. I don't want realism in my entertainment. That's the whole point of entertainment, is to get me out of realistic. The shit that's going on in the world, I want to escape. So I want to look at things that is not me.
Right, I don't want to be reminded of issues that we're trying to get away from.
That's the whole point of escapism. And you're trying to make shit more real, and I don't get the logic of that. You talk about video game logic. I don't get human logic a lot of times. Real life people logic.
Well, it's not. It's bullshit under the guise of logic.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this: if you were in critical condition, let's say you just fell on a sword by chance,
Right. Yes.
Who would you trust more? A certified surgeon or a protagonist from Fallout?
I'm going to put my money on a certified surgeon.
Really? Because the guy from Fallout can just take a nap and recover all of his broken limbs. I think I said BioShock earlier. I meant Fallout, by the way. That was the one with the
okay.
fight him with the
that's
crowbar.
what I was. Well, you do start off in the first game. You do. I think the other two games. You do start with a crowbar as your first weapon, because that's when you first enter there. That's all you can find, and then eventually you run into weapons.
But you can have all of your critical bones broken or fractured and just crawl off to a bed, and you'll be just A1 shape.
Let's say in Resident Evil again,
In a lot of games.
Physically see yourself hurt, limping and everything, and just get that green and red herb combination going. You're good to go. That's another thing with Resident Evil 2. Before they remade it, was who the hell? If you played like the puzzles in the game, I remember when I first played it, I'm like, who would make a cop station? Who builds this shit? Well, that's the question they asked Resident Evil 7 when you do puzzles. Is again, they were self-aware because Ethan says when you do one of your first puzzles, I think it was one particular puzzle, and there's a hidden wall. He was like, who builds this shit?
Yeah, who are these masterminds, these bad guys? Wouldn't you rather just go right after the protagonist, maybe kidnap somebody close to them, blackmail? Okay, well, that does happen a lot, but I would think you would try and directly come after them as often as possible to try and just kill them. But no, we're going to set up an elaborate set of dungeons with submasters and all of these really arbitrary puzzles I always go back to that scene from the first Austin Powers where Dr. Evil puts him into this trap with the sea bass, the angry sea bass.
Yeah, yeah.
And
yeah.
his son's like, Seth Green, he says, why don't we just shoot them and kill them right now? And he's like, no, you don't get it, Scott. I'm going to leave them in an elaborate and easily escapable scenario. Turn the other way and just assume that everything went according to plan. I don't see what's so strange about that.
Yeah. The movies do that weird thing too, where they have the person captured, then they tell them their entire plan, and they conveniently get untied or get escaped, or somebody saves them like in the nick of time to foil their plan. I'm like, just if you wanted them that bad, you got them, kill them. Stop! Don't tell them everything you're about to do.
Well, they do some of that fourth wall breaking in Earthbound. I just remembered. There's a scene early in the game where you're talking to one of the bad guys before you get into a fight with him, and he gives you advice on how to help heal yourself and how to be better at fighting. And then he says, wow, I just gave advice to my own enemy. I must be pretty confident, huh?
I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's in the arcade.
I gotta finish that game. Yeah, I do remember that. Okay, that was that part. Okay. Because I was like, I don't want to get no spoiled because I haven't beat it yet. But okay, yeah, I do remember that. I did get that far.
No, I didn't know if you would just put it on hold or what. But
no, I'm going to get back to it, man. I think at the time I was playing that, it was something else I was trying to finish. And then I had this habit of buying multiple games at once and not finishing them.
Do you remember how far you got? Or where you are?
I got lost because I got to the cave. I think I had to get to a rocket or something. It was something.
The sky. Damn it! It's that round orb, right? That flies.
I think it is. I think it's stuck in the ground or something. I got to pull it up.
Yeah. It crashes into that cemetery in that that underground cave, and you got to repair it.
Yeah, and I got stuck there. I'm like, I didn't want to read anything. I wanted to try to figure it out, and then I got caught up with something other stuff. So I'm going to get back to that and actually finish that game because it's an excellent fucking game.
I've got a picture of Carl, the main character from Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. He's walking down the street past a cop, and he's holding a rocket launcher.
Rocket launcher, yeah.
He says, "Good morning, officer."
Left 4 Dead logic. Use automatic weapons and grenades. Don't shoot the cars. The alarm will attract enemies. Attract zombies.
Right. They can't hear explosions, though.
I remember I was watching the very first season of The Walking Dead when he kills that kid, zombie. And I just used to hear a lot of people say, well, he did it so that it wouldn't make noise. I'm like, but he didn't have a muff. The shotgun should have warned other zombies. Like, him shooting it made more noise, and not the thing, not the kid. So I've heard people use that excuse, or why they would have shot the kid. But it was like, he had no silencer on the gun to prevent the shotgun noise, so they would have heard him anyway. Wolfenstein: The New Order logic. Spends 14 years completely paralyzed with brain damage. Maintains amazing muscle mass, and instantly reads ready to murder Nazis. I did not finish that part of the game yet. That's a good game, though. The first one, though. Second one can kiss my ass.
I heard somebody chime in when you said that.
Yeah, I forgot she was in there. Mario Kart 8 logic. Computer has red shell in second place. Throws it backwards at you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I haven't played all the Mario Kart games, but couldn't the shells... No. You could shoot the shells forward, even in the first one. But yeah.
The thing that used to kill me about Mario Kart was you can have the lead for the first 2 laps, and it conveniently... Oh, this shit just pissed me off about Mario Kart. That the computer can just instant win with a one shell. And hit you perfectly. And always have that particular shell to hit you with. or you get stuck and they just and get this is weird. Rosa Logic. I don't know what this is from. Rosa?
Oh,
Someone?
I think that's Final Fantasy II, the actual Final Fantasy II.
Oh, okay.
That wasn't released here for a long time.
Is a white mage can't heal her own sickness.
Well, that's sort of like the whole Eris paradox.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Splinter Cell
FF2
Logic.
was
Do
a
you see
very
something?
dark game. It was sort of like you see with a lot of Part
Darker than
2s in
7?
series. It was it was a black sheep of the series.
Did they come out any compilations here? I want to say
Final
I know
Fantasy?
I got some Final Fantasy games, but I don't.
Yeah, you had the FF6
2.
Chrono Trigger compilation.
That was okay. So I do have it. It's been a while since, but there was a dark game, if I remember.
Oh, FF2, you played it?
Yeah, I think I have. If it was with the Chrono Trigger, then I did play it.
Well, no, that was Final Fantasy 6 or Final Fantasy
6.
3, the one with
Oh,
Kefka.
okay. So maybe I did play it then.
Final
Did it ever
Fantasy
come
2 was strange because it was the only game where your spells would... all of your attributes would only become stronger if you used them. There wasn't a leveling system. So potentially
Okay.
you could just grind forever against a bunch of low-level enemies and build up your skills until they were through the roof at an early part of the game. It was very broken in a lot of ways, but they were trying something new. And that's what I think happens with a lot of Part 2s in series. They don't know where the series is going to go yet, like with Link 2. Or Zelda 2. You know, they didn't know. They wanted to try new things, and then they found out, well, you know, the other things were actually better, so let's stick to that. But, yeah. Castlevania. Break open the wall and find a piece of pot roast. Oh, this is trustworthy. Let me eat this. Or how about going down the stairs in the old Castlevania games? That was a bitch.
I think the stairs period was, especially if you got an enemy on the edge and the way you got knocked back so far.
Oh, dude, fallback damage. Just, oh my god.
I'm like, why does he have to fall back this damn, like,
You know, sometimes if you're walking down the street and you get smacked in the face by some pedestrian, you know how you just, like, fly back 3 feet? Every time that happens? Or maybe, oh, I got a Charlie horse fly back 3 feet. It's a real problem.
I mean, the distance on his hit back was, like, ridiculous. I think that's what made the games, when I first played Castlevania games, at least that one. Especially you get to the Medusas and you're trying to dodge that shit on.
Dude, yeah. Fallback. I always.
I'm like, I'll take the hit, but why do I have to get pushed this damn far back? You get hit again, you just done. You're just done.
You know how
There's
every
no-
now and then you're in a fight with somebody, a big tough dude, and as the fight goes on, suddenly like his weak points start to flash red.
Mm-hmm.
Like back in school, like you get in a fight with somebody after hours. You punch the bully enough times in the gut, and suddenly you see, oh, his crotch is glowing red. That must be where I should hit him. glad that they use that same real world logic in video games.
That always killed me how the enemy would reveal their weak spots. Sometimes on purpose. Like, it's not like you crack something open. It's like, oh, I can kind of... And then why not armor your weak spot? Like, there's certain joints or something. You're like, just armor that too. Whatever armor you have on the rest of your body.
They couldn't carry the armor. It was too much weight.
But the thing was heavy as...
They had to save the room for the 8 grand pianos that they were going to throw at you.
I guess. But then, again, that's why you can't take games... That's what kills me about developers sometimes. Like, you got to make this so realistic. I'm like, no, that's the whole point of... Games have to behave like games do.
How about...
If I look...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, if anything I look for, and if I want something realistic, is I kind of pay attention to shadows and reflections. I always am impressed with that. It's like, if my clothes get dirty or the character gets wet in rain, at least do that. So
How about the trainer, the main character in all the Pokemon games? How you could jump down those ledges that looked to be like maybe 1 foot, but you couldn't climb back up.
yeah.
That
Or
ledge
go
is one
time.
way.
Yeah, it's like, well, see, but they don't do doors. Then I think they're like, well, the doors in games they swing both ways, but I can't climb. Gorons don't wear clothes, and Kokiri, am I pronouncing that correctly? Never grow into adults. So here's a Goron made Kikori style adult size tunic.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Kokiri.
Or in Super Mario World, you can save your game, but if you come back, you have 3 lives, regardless of what you had when you saved.
Metal Gear Rising, Revengeance. Boy, Japanese with their subtitles. Revengeance. No, Revengeance. Revengeance. Yeah, okay. I looked up Revengeance one. Let me see if I can find it. Like, I love their subtitles sometimes because it's like, I guess translated to something in Japanese. I don't always know what it is, but they have sometimes the oddest. I think not Blaze Blue. One of the Guilty Gear games had like this weird subtitle to it. See if I can find it. What's another weird thing with games that I? What do you think about games with stamina to them? Like,
You mean like
I know
the stamina stat?
well, no, Evil Within use a stamina where when you run out of breath.
Yeah, you only can run for so long.
Yeah.
You have to recharge. I don't have a problem with it.
I think I'd rather have that than broken weapons. I can't.
You'd rather have limited stamina than broken weapons? Oh, you're talking about Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, because well, so does the Dark Souls games use stamina to when you're fighting.
I'd rather have the ability to climb walls when it's fucking raining. Honestly, that was the biggest. I guess, pothole for me playing that game. Well, I guess I just got to wait it out.
Yeah.
And there are some areas where it seemed like it always rained.
I got to finish that game.
Yeah, where are you at?
I don't even know. The last time I played it, my darling child did something to the buttons, which prevented me from playing the rest of the game until I figured out how to kind of fix it. So, and they don't sell the Wii U controller where I guess you get the Pro controller, but I think that game requires you use that because you need the screen for the menu.
I gotta say, man, my left Joy-Con joystick was broken pretty quickly.
Really?
It often automatically triggers the down sensor. So I'll be in the menu, I'll be on like the store, the online shop, and it'll just like scroll as fast as you can down the menu. Like, dude, and I gotta stop it. And then it'll wait a second, and then it'll just scroll right back down again. So I pretty much use the Pro controller now.
I gotta be careful then. 'Cause I don't. I thought those was pretty indestructible.
I haven't had any other problems with it, but and honestly, I mostly notice it in the menu. It's not really a problem in the games.
Oh, okay. I had fighting sticks that did that, where whatever they were made out of at the time, the rubber that was holding I don't think they're called magnets, whatever inputs when you're using the joystick part, if you were facing left, facing right, like when I would play a Street Fighter game or something, since I was always facing that way, I would always push that way, and eventually that forward would stop, and I could never jump or move forward because the wear and tear of whatever they used at the time for the input to move forward would disintegrate or be gone. So I would always have to get another joystick because of the shit they made out of that were made out of at the time. Then they start putting the metal things. And I guess over time they just got better and better, but even those would wear out eventually.
I can't tell you how many used Nintendo 64 controllers I have that just feel like a limp dick. With the joysticks, that is.
Right.
They're just like these sad, like frowny, like they drop down to the bottom. Like, well, no Mario Party for you.
Well, here's that meme. Final Fantasy VII logic. Phoenix down? Never heard of it.
Oh, yeah, with Aeris.
Yeah.
So tell me this. 4 turtles, 8 bombs, 2 minutes and 28 seconds, the world's shittiest controls. Oh, and that seaweed is electrified for some reason. I understand criticisms with the original Turtles game. I personally love it. I get all the problems with it. I get how your characters can instantly be killed by steamrollers that just are cruising around like 8 times faster than you are. I get the seaweed problem. I understand the difficulty. But it was still a fun platformer. Now, it wasn't evenly designed, but it wasn't really that long of a game either. There's only 4 levels. I don't know if you ever beat it.
I think I should have it. It came on the NES, correct?
Yes.
I think that's the one I have. I never did beat it. I like it. I personally love it. I love it.
I hear people. I talk to people about this, and they're like, "Oh, that game sucks." And I always ask them why, and they always go back to the same point. Oh, it was too hard.
Oh my god! Like current people or people that grew up with it?
I'm talking about people my age, and even one person I talked to that was older than me.
Oh, what a pussy, dude! That's all we had back then. Like, I want people to understand. Games back then, your guys have it so easy, especially younger kids and stuff, where they can auto-update the games and stuff if there's a bug. We had to wait for the second game to come out to get anything fixed.
Right,
back in the day.
We had all the time to wait, so we would play around with the games and find the bugs. And find the ways to cheat the system.
I mean, worst you pull out that Game Gear. The Game Genie or the Game Shark, correct all that shit, but get the infinite life and ammo. But there was no continues, there was no checkpoints. That's why when Zelda came out, it was one of the games I remember they had a backup battery or password. What is it? Was a battery, right? It saved on a cartridge.
Yeah, before that it was all password, but they had backup batteries. Nintendo, the Famicom disk system had saves before we did.
Oh, okay.
For instance, the original Metroid in America relied on a password system, but they had battery-back save states in the disc version in Japan.
Oh, okay. Well, it must have been the games I picked up, because outside of Mega Man, there was no, they had a password, but most games like Contra, Ninja Gaiden, did not have passwords. You had to just play through that shit. Double Dragon, no passwords. You had to play through it. And the shit was hard. You just have to play it enough to just get good at it.
The one that I still think was unfair was Mario 3. No battery back save, no password system.
Oh, when I would play that over and over again, I would just use the
warp whistle.
Warp whistle, yeah. Fuck that. Because I would have to sit there and play it all the way through.
Did you ever notice the melody? I think we might have talked about this. The melody for the warp whistle in Mario 3 is the same melody at the very beginning of Ocarina of Time's theme.
Yes. Yeah.
little Koji Kondo Easter egg he left. I really don't think that was a coincidence. I'm sure somebody's asked him about that too.
Man, Resident Evil's had a full of illogical things. In Resident Evil 4, the Granado dropped weapon ammo, yet carried no guns. Why hasn't Mario lost weight after running and jumping all these years?
Yeah, how is Mario or Sonic, for that matter? They're both very portly in the gut. You're telling me that they have the stamina to run through an entire level?
Now, does Mario eat what does he eat for power? Oh, the mushrooms. I'm assuming the mushrooms give him that gut.
Must be. I don't think mushrooms are really that high in calorie or carbs. Like Sonic, I get it. He's cramming chili dogs all day.
But if you eat that much, enough mushrooms, though, does it do anything? I mean, they're pretty big, too.
Well, you eat enough of anything, you're going to pack on weight.
Yeah, so I assume Mario fits that. But nobody else in the Mushroom Kingdom has that, do they?
I really don't know the diets of the Mario universe, but I would probably think it's safe to say that Mario is definitely eating more than mushrooms on his time off.
Right.
I mean, I remember the old cartoons in the Super Show where he would always be talking about linguine and pasta and, you know, all those different kinds of Italian dishes.
I never wanted to be... Now, I'm not a violent person. But when I see Mario cartoon and then the live action part where the swing from side to side song...
You mean the one with Dennis Hopper?
Yeah, was that Dennis Hopper? No, not the movie, the cartoon show where when they went live action in between the episodes.
Oh, the live action parts of the... Yeah.
The dude that looks like... Because I don't know how old Mario's supposed to be, but he doesn't like he should be that guy. And this just makes me want to punch him in the face.
I always imagine Mario was somewhere in like his mid-30s.
That's funny.
And I worked with a guy at an old job I had. He looked exactly like you should be Mario. Like he would be, if he was an actor, he would have been the perfect Mario. I think probably was too tall, but he had the look. Had the curly hair, had the mustache.
Oh, yeah, you just fix that with some camera angles.
Yeah. They got a picture of...
Maybe he would have been a better Luigi.
No, he had the Mario face down.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just his body was more Luigi. So, it's basically Luigi with Mario's head.
Now, are we talking a Mario Super Show? Who was the guy? John Leguizamo that played him?
Yeah, in the live action movie, but the show, cartoon.
Who played him in the show? Who played him in the show?
I don't know. I know the skinny guy that played. I could swear I saw him on something before then or after, or I knew of him in the movies. The one that played Luigi, but I don't remember the guy. If I saw him, I can't think of his name. He just seemed like
Well, keep going.
Haircut. So they got a picture of
Lou Albano.
Yeah, okay. They got a picture of in Grand Theft Auto. Before you get a haircut, he has a very low haircut. Then after the haircut, he has an afro.
Wait, who does?
In Grand Theft Auto, I guess he's the main character. I don't know which one this is. San Andreas, I guess.
Oh, Carl.
You have a low haircut before the haircut, and then after the haircut, you got a nice ass fro.
Oh, yeah, and you could also work off your gut in the gym in like 3 minutes on a treadmill.
Spends whole life searching Pokemon, gives you empty Pokedex.
Yeah, some professor. Yeah, Professor Oak. I mean, he had 3 basic Pokemon when you come to him in the beginning of the game. I get it. He can be like, well, I used to have more Pokemon, but I let him go. That's another thing about Pokemon. You have to accept the reality that they're basically living in a world with incredibly advanced technology. You're talking about the technology where you can absorb creatures 10 times your size into this ball that's the size of your fist. You can put them on a tray and restore their health no matter what kind of critical condition they're in. But yet society still accepts basically what's a glorified form of dog fighting or cockfighting or animal fighting. You're basically enslaving these creatures to fight each other.
Oh, when the parent groups back in the day, before we had the term what we have now, what we consider, I think they always existed. They just didn't have we didn't have Twitter. But I do remember Pokemon was being accused of teaching kids cockfighting. I do remember that was parents were freaking out about that.
These are the same parents that probably thought Doom were influencing people like the Columbine shooters.
And the people who said
Metallica
that,
and Marilyn Manson and Eminem and everything like that.
Judas Priest. Yeah, it was like whatever popular medium was out at the time was what, you could just point to. Say, that's why we're like this. Nah, just be better parents. If you're a kid, just be a parent.
Mm-hmm. And the violence didn't really cause media attention until it entered the middle class white community.
Oh yeah, I remember when when a lot of the white youths was getting the rap music, Ice Cube and stuff. I remember Ice Cube gave some interview or something. It's like, man, when the white kids took down Axl Rose and put up Ice-T, that's when all this shit happened. Yeah, nobody gave a fuck what we were listening to until, like, white kids like it too. It's music. Oh, we gotta shut this shit down. I remember Transformers cartoon, like Road Runner cartoons. I remember they took that off the air. I just want to teach kids how to throw rocks on dogs. Like, well, thanks for giving me the idea, but I was raised with dogs. I never thought to harm my pet with a rock because I saw a Roadrunner cartoon.
It's really insulting to the intelligence of people. Like, obviously, there are some dumb motherfuckers out there. But none of us thought... I can't speak for everyone, obviously, but for me and everyone I know, we never played a violent game or listened to heavy metal or rap, gangster rap, and decided, oh yeah, let's go pimp some tricks and shoot up some liquor stores and rob some people.
And like I always say, I do believe if you watch something over and over and over again, it can desensitize you.
Sure. But
to just put a Band-Aid on the situation and say, that's did it. I'm like, it's a bunch of things I can point to, dude. This person probably had a shitty life, shitty parents, and he needed an outlet. It was a lot of times when I told you when I worked at a particular, I needed an outlet. And had to pretend that those people I had to deal with on a daily basis were the enemies in a Halo game or in a fighting game. Because I know I can't do this in real life, but I'm gonna pretend this is them, so I can beat shit out of them at home in my head. So I don't do this in real life. So thank goodness there's violence in games because I get to act it out. It's an outlet for me personally.
Yeah, I've felt a lot of stress relief from playing games and shooting people. It's been a lot of fun. I've probably punched more Nazis than most of these SJWs in the digital world, that is.
Right.
And I consider myself to be more stable than a lot of these SJWs. I'll also say on a side note, exercise is a great stress reliever for a lot of people. Sex, of course. Well, that's an exercise.
The sex, yes.
A workout is a great stress reliever. I've always heard, and since I've joined a gym, I've noticed, you're a lot more emotionally stable. You're a lot more temperamentally stable because you're actually letting out that energy some way instead of, through debate or yelling or finding something to get mad over.
Yep, it's eating the right type of stuff. Is also good for mental health and stuff.
Yeah, the diet. Fried food seems like a good thing, in the short run, but you're gonna feel like shit afterwards.
Yep. Yeah, something that I think that I remember somebody was telling me about. Well, when you exercise, how it does something to the I don't know what the right term is. It for the brain. It does something. Not endorphins. I'm not sure what it.
I was actually going to say endorphins.
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure myself, but yeah, it definitely has a psychological effect. And I'm not saying that people just just do some cardio. Some basic cardio will do you a world of wonders.
and be around positive people.
Yeah.
I think helps too. I think, and I did not realize how when I was working this job I had years ago, the people I was around were so negative all the time that it starts to attach itself to you and you become them. And I had to watch that. I'm like, oh my God, these people never say anything, like nothing's ever good. And I just had to get away from them. And you just surround yourself with
Well, that old statement,
people
you are the company you keep, it works both ways.
right. Yeah,
The way others look at you and the way that you start to think yourself.
pretty much.
So, I've been hearing a lot of jokes floating around lately about the Detective Pikachu movie and the Sonic movie being the startup of a video game universe similar to how Marvel did their thing about 10 years ago. I don't think it's actually a thing. I don't think it's actually a conscious effort, obviously, because you've got two different groups behind the movies. But wouldn't it be funny if it was all building up to like a Smash Brothers crossover?
Oh man.
A
the
Smash
thing with
Brothers
video-
the movie? Like
But
this
that's the
is this is the Iron Man. This is going to be the Iron Man of the video game world, cinematic universe.
But that's the thing though with unfortunately with video game stories. With comic books, they already have a laid out. There's something there already, and you can just use the source material. With games that don't really rely on story, man, that's hard. You got to come up with something that's not. I mean, the only video game movie I can think of that made any sense was the first Mortal Kombat movie, only because you can look at it as a kung fu movie with Mortal Kombat characters. It's to me just like another kung fu movie I've always looked at. But there's only game I can think of, a movie adaptation of a game that had something you could do something with. It already had kind of a story. One of the few fighting games with an actual coherent story. Street Fighter and all of them don't really have anything like. Fighting games don't need stories. They usually don't make sense. Those games don't need a story to them. I was cool with just the bio of the characters, where the Raul come from, and now when they did the animated version of Street Fighter, the movie, when Street Fighter the movie animated came out, like the first time I heard a Korn song, where they used it in a Alice in Chains music in the game, the cartoon. It's just something's probably worked better animated than if live action. Even if you did a theater made movie.
Well, especially back then.
Yeah. It seems some things just translate better if it was animated, even if they did a CGI version. And I think we talked about this. I think it just translates better than live action.
Oh yeah, and I still think we talked about this with the Sonic movie. You were saying, and I've heard other people say this since too, that maybe an all animated Sonic movie would be a better idea.
Yeah. And because you don't have to explain why a character can throw a fireball out of their hands if you did it live action. If you did it with animation, people just, I think, accept it as that. Just like, that's why I usually accept weird logic with video games. It's like a digital cartoon to me. I don't expect it to be realistic. It's kind of like what cartoons are doing, you know.
Right. Nobody does, and I think that's, again, like I've said, the biggest problem when you're translating a video game franchise into a movie. There are too many things, too many strong points that make a game good that don't translate over to a movie. It's like taking a choose-your-own-adventure book and making it into a linear novel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you play like Metal Gear Solid. That doesn't need the game already felt like a movie by itself. I don't think that needs a live action movie. Unless you copy directly. But then I wouldn't want to go see that. I could just play the game again.
Yeah, pretty much.
And the Resident Evil, there's scarier movies and zombie movies that's been out that's I wish Resident Evil would have done. I remember watching some thriller or some horror movie. It was more Silent Hill than Silent Hill. It wasn't supposed to be like Silent Hill, but it's like, man, if Silent Hill was like this, I give credit to I did like the first Silent Hill movie because it was so closely based. I'm just anal when it comes to that source material.
Yeah, I actually enjoyed the first Silent Hill too, the movie.
Yeah, so I would say, out of all the video game movies, I would say those two, the first Mortal Kombat and Silent Hill, the first Silent Hill was probably the best, in my opinion, adaptation of a video game to movie. But I don't know, because those had stories in it that you can feed off of and do something with. But you try to take a Bubsy or some shit.
Oh, they'll never make a Bubsy movie.
Blasto or...
Oh my god, I forgot about Blasto. Or Rayman.
I cannot see how they can make a Rayman movie.
Rayman,
good game.
Forgotten by Time. Dude,
Rayman's
you know what?
Still relevant.
Rayman?
Yeah, he's still relevant. Relevant. Yes, he's had a few games in the last 2 years.
Well, I mean, he's still around, but you don't really hear about Rayman. The franchise doesn't cause that much of a ruckus.
Well, most platformers don't. If it's not Mario,
right, we're in the age of FPS and sandbox.
Yeah, and I think Crash only caused a ruckus because I guess people who they said, I guess when they were kids, who knows, but a lot of people who were like, this game is like the Dark Souls of platforms. Like, no, it's not.
Oh, God, I'm so sick of the Dark Soul comparison.
Dark Souls is more Dark Souls.
Dark Souls is the Dark Souls of Dark Souls. When are they going to make a Dark Souls movie that's the Dark Souls of movies? You have to fight a dude just to get into the theater.
This line is the Dark Soul of movie lines or whatever.
We've laced some of your popcorn pieces with arsenic. Choose wisely.
This popcorn is the Dark Souls of snack. But if they did do a Dark Souls movie, they could do it like, I guess, the Lord of the Rings kind of. But those games don't really have those kind of have a choose your own kind of. Well, when you make a character, but I don't think it has it's got some story there, I think there's something to feed off of that.
Well, you can take the liberty of making a story around it like they're doing with the Sonic movie. I don't know what the plot is going to be. I mean, I think you can get a basic outline, but you can do a lot of things with it. Like even the Mario Brothers movie.
Right. But the setting with Dark Souls, though, I think you can come up with some kind of medieval something, Lord of the Rings type. I mean, Warcraft had a movie. Warcraft
had a movie.
World
of Warcraft. That's the funny thing. I always grew up with the tactical Warcraft games. I got out of it before the World of Warcraft took off.
Oh, okay.
So whenever anybody mentions it to me, I figure, oh, yeah, you're talking about World of Warcraft. But
did you do the StarCraft?
I played the first StarCraft.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I like that game quite a bit. I didn't get into stuff afterwards like StarCraft Ghost or... Did they make a movie out of that? Out of StarCraft?
No, I don't think so.
Anything StarCraft related? They haven't done a Diablo movie, have they?
Let me think. No. If they have, I don't think they have. I could be wrong. I would think I would have heard of it if they had by now. What's the game?
I did see the Dungeon Siege movie.
Was that based on it? What was that based on?
Dungeon Siege.
Oh, is it based on that? I didn't know they had a movie.
Yeah, they had one. It was the bad guy was played by Ray Liotta.
What?
Yeah, Ray Liotta played the bad guy. It was made by Uwe Boll, the German filmmaker. It was.
I was just about to bring him up. Yeah,
yeah. It was In the Name of the King, a Dungeon Siege tale. And I'm not too familiar. I'm really not familiar at all with the franchise, but I think they just took that type of setting and put the label Dungeon Siege on it. Ray Liotta plays the bad guy, and then the main character is played by Jason Statham. And his sidekick is the guy that played the main character in Hellboy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's not very good.
Yeah, I mean,
if you're looking at Boll movies, his non-video game movies are actually better. Unsurprisingly.
Yeah, that's what I said. I think video games. I mean, but I remember saying that about comic book movies. Until Blade, and people forget about Blade. Blade was one of the first. If you take the first Superman, and maybe Superman 2, but that large gap in between, like really good superhero movies, just didn't exist. And then Blade came out. Or Blade 1 and 2, which is not considered part of the MCU or anything, but it was a Marvel movie.
Right.
One of the first Marvel movies to come out. That's why it pisses me off when somebody like Black Panther was like, no, Blade did it. Meteor Man was one of the first to have a black cast. Stop it. It wasn't this movie y'all trying to make.
Well, people only care about what's happening in the current era.
It's like, stop it. Stop the lie. It's not the first of nothing. None of y'all doing now is the first of anything. Supergirl came out in 80s. Captain Marvel's first super female. No, Supergirl did it first, or one of the first series that did it. And then you had Wonder Woman that came out a couple years ago to somehow forget about her. Underworld had all these. So stop it.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Anything politically related or anything in general, people have short selective memories. You know, you have an economic market crash here. 10 years later, people are doing the same thing in government, and they say, "Oh, well, this is great." Oh, but you realize that this is the same thing that happened before the market crashed again. Like, oh no, it's going to be great because this is a different person this time. Well, they're doing the same things though. But yeah, but this is a different person.
Same things.
It doesn't matter. New face, different rules. You know, it always reminds me of The Who. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Detective Pikachu is going to save Western civilization. I'm convinced. Movie of all movies. 11 stars out of 10. I haven't even seen the trailer.
Oh, you haven't? Oh,
well,
dude.
No, I have. I'm just being. I'm just exaggerating, but yeah, people have short memories. That's all I'm saying.
As far as our video game movies and after, because I think a lot of people probably after Endgame are kind of like, I've had my fill of the superhero genre. I mean, if they keep making them good, I don't think they'll go away. I would like. Now I don't know. Comparing, I mean, as far as kaiju, which is giant monster movies, or video game, I don't know what's the next wave. I missed the time. Like that's why I missed the '80s so much. There were just a variety of different types of movies out. Now comedies were the big, probably one of the biggest things in the 80s, along with adventure movies, horror movies, you could find something everybody could enjoy, but I think comedies were still bigger from the biggest movies. Back then, Beverly Hills Cop and Ghostbusters. That's why you had even the mix of horror movies with The Howling and Gremlins at the mix of horror and comedy.
Mm-hmm.
Comedy always, like, you could not find a movie theater that didn't have at least a comedy movie in it amongst all the other movies. So
yeah, comedy was a huge part of the culture of the 80s.
And now then what was the 90s?
To me, the 90s was the era of the family movie.
Yeah, because there was way less R-rated movies at that time. I guess 2000s was the superhero with had the Blade,
the later
Spider-Man.
I remember the first movie. I was on a date and I saw Daredevil. No, not Daredevil. Daredevil. No, who's the blind judge? Daredevil, right?
Yeah.
I saw the first Daredevil. To me, that was the first utterance of what would become the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Because then you had the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies, and then you had the Hulk, the first version of the Hulk, and then you had the Ruffalo Hulk, which came around, and that was when you had Iron Man, and that was the start of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and the first Thor, and then it just started to snowball after that.
I saw this debate people were having on a podcast I listened to that they thought immediately Robert Downey Jr. was. I'm like, to say off the bat, you look hindsight and say, yeah, he was best, but people forget, like,
he's definitely one of the stronger points of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
No, I mean, before this even happened, before this even became a universe, we still had only maybe Batman movies and Spider-Man movies as top-notch movies.
And Superman.
When it came to, well, yeah, and then you bring in Blade. But I mean, before, people consider MCU to start with Iron Man. But people, Iron Man, when it came out, wasn't, or in the X-Men movies too, but Iron Man wasn't, it took a slow burn to the MCU, I think. But when Robert Downey Jr. played Stark, he came from, I watched him in the 80s, man, when he was in Weird Science and a bunch of other movies he was in. And it was like, looking at him back then, it was like I did with Michael Keaton playing Batman. I was like, I can't see Michael Keaton playing Batman. But then he did it, and I was like, that didn't cut. That was pretty good. And then when Robert Downey Jr. did it, yes, it's performed in the movie, but it's like when I thought about him before he did Iron Man, it was like, I remember he was, some of the stuff in his personal life. I think he was the dude in Kill. What the hell was that? With Woody Harrelson. They were going around and killing everybody. It was an Oliver Stone movie. They were just murdering people just because, for fun.
Natural Born Killers.
Killers, yeah. He was, I think, the interview guy or the reporter in that movie. Anyway, and then he did Tropic Thunder after Iron Man.
Dude, I saw this joke that's been floating around. You might have seen this. Well, we should have more diversity in Marvel movies. We should have a black Iron Man. Who should we cast? How about Robert Downey Jr.?
And yeah, the show. I get so sick of that stuff. Like, dude, nothing y'all doing is new. But anyway, that's sad. Tropic Thunder cannot be made today without. I'm surprised they haven't jumped on him yet for that. If they have, I never heard of it. For doing,
I'm sure people have, but it hasn't caught attention. That's the thing, is there's plenty of people out there complaining about this and that constantly. It's just when the media catches attention, magnifies it.
Yeah.
Or you just have the right person with enough influence that gets on the train.
And yeah, but when he did Tropic Thunder, it's like it was right after Iron Man.
Was that after Iron Man?
Yeah,
Shit.
if I'm not mistaken, because when he did Iron Man, it was like, oh, this is kind of his comeback into because what was he doing before then? You only knew his personal life with the drugs and stuff, and then when he did Iron Man, it kind of brought his career back because he did Tropic Thunder after that, and then I think he did. I don't know if it's after Part 2 of Iron Man 2. He did the Sherlock Holmes movie.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he did.
Yeah, that was the Robert Downey revival.
Yeah, so he was like the shit now, and to see, I just love his redemption story. I obviously liked him back in the '80s, and I hate anybody that career gets they self-destruct like that. But I think Iron Man saved him because it became the MCU after
Iron
that.
Man was to Downey Jr. what Captain Jack Sparrow was to Johnny Depp.
But Jack Depp always chose. I think I saw an interview. He said he purposely chose roles that people wouldn't normally take. So
yeah, but those roles solidified them.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Into being major actors. That's when you think of those two people now. Those are the first roles you think of. Those are the most famous
for me,
roles.
it's
Well, I know for people that have special places for them, they're going to think of different things. But for at large, I mean,
yeah, because 21 Jump Street is for me with for some reason I always forget he was in the first Nightmare on Elm Street, Johnny Depp. But
yeah, he gets eaten by the bed.
Yeah, he was in that. Then he did 21 Jump Street, and that's where I knew him mostly from. And then, like, when he left that show, I think he did Edward Scissorhands, he did Chocolate, and was eating Gilbert Grape, and he was in Platoon.
Yep. Wait. Junior was in Platoon.
But I thought Johnny Depp was in Platoon, too.
Was he? Oh,
yeah.
Epic crossover.
Yeah, he was in Platoon. He didn't have a major speaking role, I don't think.
Right, but he was in it.
But he was in it, if I'm not mistaken. And the dude from Living Color was in the movie, too. I'm like, what?
From the band?
Yeah. I could swear that's him.
Well, a friend told me about an interesting little story about Henry Rollins, who played the coach in Jack Frost. With what's his name? Keaton?
Michael Keaton, yeah.
Michael Keaton. He has a very small role, but apparently Henry Rollins was at some biker bar or some diner at some point years after the movie, and this tough biker walks up to Henry Rollins sitting at a booth, and Henry Rollins is just thinking, wonder what this guy's going to ask me about. He figures, oh, well, he recognizes me, and he's like, I know you from somewhere. And Henry Rollins is thinking of like, well, I was in this band, I was in this band, I was in these movies. You were in Jack Frost, weren't you? He's like, yeah. He's like, I forget exactly the story he told me, but he said, I lost my wife. And just like the character in Jack Frost, who also had the same loss, I watched that movie so many times, and I have this personal connection to the movie, so I just, he almost started crying. He was just, like, so worked up. He was like, I just want to say thank you for something that brought some kind of closure to my life.
Damn.
And Rollins was like, thank you. You're welcome. Anyway, man, it's 11 o'clock, and I got to work tomorrow.
Damn.
Yeah.
All right. I've got to find something to eat. I'm not eating.
Yeah, I've got to work on that, too.
All right.
Well, anything else on video game logic or lack of logic that therein that you like to say?
Not really, other than keep games fake. Stop trying to be real. Stop trying to inject real world stuff into entertainment. That's the whole point of entertainment. I think that's why Spider-Man was such an important thing after 9/11. It kind of got people to get over that kind of moment, that time, and it was cool escapism when Spider-Man came out. That's the whole point of entertainment. I would like it to stay that way, especially with video games and movies. It's to escape. I know most movies, most things have some political message, but usually it's to the benefit of all people and not trying to separate people by let's be more inclusive when the shit is already, you can go back years, the shit has already happened. Stop trying to infuse stuff that's, you're not the first to do shit. Stop trying to be important. Just make entertainment.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, there are issues that people all agree on, despite their leanings. And you can convey those through movies, and you don't have to walk some kind of line of whether or not this is a libertarian message or a progressive message. You can do these things, and sometimes you can just play to one side or the other if you want. That's fine. But to do these hokey little tactics to put in your movie that takes away from the overall effect, that really has no net benefit to the appeal, is silly. And as far as the logic in games, people say keep it real. I say keep it fake.
Right.
Keep it really fake.
Really fake.
Keep it really fake.
Put the jiggle physics in games. The breast is not a scary thing, but you can kill people, which is fake. I get it. That's why I don't mind violence in games, but when you compare the two, sex should be there too. It's just like a novel, just like movies. I don't know why games is some kind of, we can't have it here because the kids, well, that's why there's ratings on it, and the parents are buying the damn games. The parents should be parents. Keep entertaining. There's something for everybody. Let me like my jiggle physics. You can go to Pornhub. I know that. I still want my jiggle physics in the game too.
When are we gonna have a Pornhub game?
They have one actually.
Oh,
it's not for Pornhub, but there is a game that's it's like you can create an avatar. It's I don't know if you heard of Second Life, but I think something like that. You can make an avatar.
No, that's right. That's right. I've seen plenty of zany groups in Second Life.
Yeah. Well, there's a game that specifically you can have straight up getting it on. I wish I know I had it bookmarked somewhere. I got to find the name of it. But it's actually, you make an avatar. You get, I think it's a subscription, and the game you can have your own apartment. You have your own outfits and stuff. This also reminds me of PlayStation Home. Hold on for a second. I'm on the air. Stop it. Do not have KIDS ever. And you can I guess you can hook up with other people within the game. I know it's part social game, part not Sims, but like a lot of like Second Life, I think. And I'll.
Well, I also know there was a hidden sex game in Grand Theft Auto, one of the Grand Theft Autos.
I think it was San Andreas. Everybody freaked out about.
Yeah.
You can kill prostitutes, but you can't fuck them.
Dude, I always did that to get my money back.
Right. It's just as people just like what they, like you can cuss in the game. No, you can kill people in the game, but you couldn't cuss. People were more freaked out about the cussing, but then the killing. I was like, people's limit line, that line is
selective issues.
It's really weird what they get outraged about. But yes, keep entertaining, entertainment. keep video games fake as possible. That's the whole point. I like my doors swinging both ways sometimes. I like my herbs in places that they shouldn't be. Helps me heal and progress through the rest of the game.
I like my herbs in a pipe, personally.
Yes, make that
all
legal.
you want. I mean, edibles are nice too. CBD is a big thing. They just Family Video in a couple of states started selling CBD products.
Yes.
To survive.
You know what I like about them? You know what I like about them? When I first went to Family Video, just because the title of it, I'm like, really? You go into the back room, what's stashed back there? I'm like, what?
That's right.
This truly is a family. And they got it for everything. After watching these, you will be creating one, I assume. But that always that's why I always love Family Video. Like, ow! I mean, you get shit on the internet now, but back then, I was just like, for a store to call themselves this, to have this, and no other store does, video store, this is unique.
And more interestingly, from what I understand from somebody I know that used to work there, they're actually a Christian-owned business. Which makes it even more interesting.
Exactly. Well, I guess they're like, hey, Adam and Eve did it. That's how we made it here. So let's show how it's done. I don't know. I didn't know that. I didn't know that
they keep the line going.
That is so weird. Hey man, it's bizarre world, man. This is weird how stuff is flipped.
What a time to be alive, as I always say.
Yeah, I'm so thankful I was the 80s, man. I got to see what things were like, and up until now, and I'm thankful I was able to kind of just like to go back to people knew what a joke was, people knew what entertainment was, and we're trying to be anything else but that. But before I go, I want to do I'm trying to find the cringiest dad joke possible.
Oh, we're doing the dad jokes.
Because I don't have a sign off.
No, I got you.
I guess this is one. I just saw a documentary about beavers. It was the best damn show I ever saw.
Kill me now.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Kill me now. I'm gonna go die after this.
If you see a robbery at an Apple store, does that make you a eyewitness? Jesus fucking Christ. And you get it?
No, I
yeah. It's got I as an iPod and then witness.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Spring is here. I got so excited I wet my plants. Oh.
That's worse than boomer jokes right there.
A ham sandwich walks into a bar and orders a beer. The bartender says, "Sorry, we don't serve food here." Anyway, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, the sandwich is the food
Jeez.
you don't serve. They're racist against food.
They're racist against food?
I mean, they don't serve food.
I identify with the food race, actually. Thank you very much, and I find that very offensive. Wow.
What do you call a penguin in the desert?
A cringy
Lost.
joke?
Lost.
Oh, a non sequitur.
Yeah.
Very, very, very nice. Okay. I'm going to go...
Slit your wrists. Hang yourself.
You're reading my mind. You're reading my mind. I'm going to open some veins is what I'm going to do.
Why was an elephant... They call an elephant in a phone booth.
Phone booth.
Stuck. Oh.
I got one.
Oh, these are retarded.
I got one.
She's got one.
No, she's not even supposed to be hearing this.
Mm.
So anyway, I am going to go find something to eat. Sorry for the jokes.
I'm going to try and forget about that.
Yeah, I accepted your challenge from some time ago. You said, "Hey man, if you can shoot me some jokes that so like the worst of the worst, oh, I got you covered."
Yeah, you did it. You did it. Congratulations.
What did on he would always say on How I Met Your Mother, challenge accepted or something like that.
Challenge accepted?
Yeah, that's what he said all the time. Doogie Howser.
I think so, man. It's been a long time since I've seen that show.
I think my favorite one was the doppelganger one. When they were looking for the doppelgangers.
Yeah, that was fun. Well, that kept on for a while, didn't it? Because they
did
bring
it?
that up
Yeah.
from episode to episode.
Because I don't think they could find. I can't never remember his name. Doogie Howser. I keep knowing about Doogie Howser. But I think they were trying to find his, and I think he was. If I remember correctly, he couldn't. They were like, "I don't have a doppelganger," and I ended up finding his.
I don't know, man, but I'm gonna be honest with you. I got to piss. So.
Okay, I'm
Cut
good.
it off
Well,
anyway.
anyway.
So this is me. This is Zuver saying, wow, what a time! Look out for dad jokes. I mean, cancer kills, drugs kill, but I think
And
there's and you kill. There's a lack of awareness of dad jokes in this country. The true threat in our society. So, just guard yourselves, block your ears. Oh my God, that's it.
All right.
All right, man. We'll do this again in a little while.